Hey guys, what is up? This is Anthony Davis, me once again. Welcome back to the movie review, aka After I Saw. This time is going to be on The Black Phone 2. This movie takes place a few years after the events of the first movie, where Finney managed to escape the grabber's house and being able to live, well, not particularly a normal life, but a better life after going through that incident, as he tends to get a job as a counselor over at Christian camp or whatever, until suddenly him and his sister Gwen get a mysterious phone call that just so happens to be the grabber. He still manages to find ways to get his revenge on Finney after, spoiler alert, he killed him in the last movie. Now, I absolutely love the first Black Phone. I saw it in the theater 2 times, and I got it on Blu-ray 2 times. Though, I had this Blu-ray before they released the 4K, just in case, so, yeah, but this was actually I can't remember, did I buy this? Because I know one of these I got as a gift. It was the 4K, but I rewatched it on 4K, and, yeah, it's still fantastic. So, yeah, I do not understand why it really needed a sequel, because, of course, the first movie made quite a bit of money to warrant a sequel. Though I didn't really understand how they were going to do that, because with Ethan Hawke coming back, because like I mentioned before, the grabber was killed in the last movie. So I wasn't sure if this was going to be like some scenario where they resurrect him from the dead, or he becomes like this Frankenstein monstrosity or something. By the way, I'm really excited for Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. I bet that's going to be great. But the way they do it here, I actually feel like makes quite a bit of sense, and I understood why it happened. That was the biggest thing I was kind of worried about, but the way they handle it here, I thought made sense. And for the most part, I do think this is a decent enough follow-up to its fantastic predecessor. It's not better, but I do think for the most part, it doesn't really do anything to ruin the overall enjoyment that I got from the first movie, as it doesn't really feel like it really needs to happen, but at the same time, I appreciate it for that, because it focuses a lot more on Finney's sister Gwen, who feels more like the protagonist this time around, because it focuses a lot on her, and it makes sense why, because while she wasn't seen a whole lot in the first movie, I definitely understand why they try to expand more of her character out a lot more in this one. But if you remember from the first movie, she had a lot of dreams, and those dreams are present in this movie as well, though they are quite disturbing. This movie is a lot more violent than the first movie, which is something that I kind of expected since it's R-rated for gore. And yeah, it's pretty disturbing when it comes to those aspects. But I really enjoyed the fact that it goes into a direction that doesn't feel like it's just copy and paste of the original film. Like, in terms of, callbacks from the original, there really isn't a whole lot that it manages to do, which is also something that I appreciated. And everybody from the first movie who are present in this one do a really good job. Ethan Hawke is still terrific as the grabber, though he doesn't appear on screen as much, but I kind of expected that since, of course, he's in the death dimension or whatever, wherever he's at. And yeah, there are often times, though, it does kind of drag on a little bit, especially since it's like 12 minutes longer than the first movie. Sometimes it can slow down a little bit in the middle, but I will say it does have a really satisfying climax. And it doesn't really do like a whole lot to warrant another movie, because the first movie didn't try doing that. So with this movie, I'm happy to report that it's not trying to spawn a whole new franchise, even though if this movie does do well enough, we're still probably going to get a third movie anyway, because that's pretty much the reason why sequels like this are made. But hey, as long as you make the sequel have a purpose, then it can work. I don't feel like it always has a purpose, because oftentimes, since the grabber's dead, there doesn't really need to be a reason to bring him back again just in the afterlife. But that doesn't make the movie any less entertaining when it does come to its aspects of psychological tension and all that, because there is quite a bit of it here. And it's something that I appreciate the most. It's kind of like a haunting film a little bit. Kind of has some vibes of something like Insidious, or I don't know, one of those types of films. I do also want to bring up the fact that sometimes when it comes to the writing, like specifically with Gwen's dialogue, it can feel quite awkward. And even with some of the other characters, they have some really weird lines of dialogue. Like, there's one part where, there's going to be a brief spoiler where Gwen and Finney are arguing, and then Finney's just all like, I don't want to be angry anymore. Like, I don't know. I just found, like, some of the dialogue to be just like, okay, what's with the writing all of a sudden? It just, I don't know. But none of it really took away from the emotion that some of these characters have, as well as the disturbing imagery that goes on, as well as the sequences throughout the film involving the hauntings and involving what Finney and Gwen are going through throughout the film. Because, hey, for the most part, I still cared what was going on, even though I do feel like there's a lot more going for it that you really gotta like focus on, because the first movie I feel like was a lot more straightforward. But nonetheless, I get what they were going for with the sequel, and it doesn't really need to exist, but hey, it was what it was. In the end, guys, Black Phone 2, I was a little bit worried about, but hey, it's not a bad sequel. In fact, for the most part, there is a lot more good to it than bad. Because when it comes to most horror sequels, they don't always tend to work. But I'm glad to see that this is not one of those sequels that just completely takes away everything that made the original so good. Ethan Hawke is still fantastic in this movie, as well as the other characters that were from the original film. Though some of the new ones, like Gwen has like a love interest or whatever. Like, I kind of forgot he was in the movie, but whatever, he was fine. And the movie can definitely be more entertaining when it does come to its horror, when it comes to its violence and all that. So yeah, it's not really a sequel that needed to happen, but I do appreciate it for not trying to ruin everything that made the original so good. And the fact that, it does try something a little bit different. And that's always a positive when it comes to a sequel in my book. I was just hoping to at least like it, and I did. I didn't love it. It's definitely not as rewatchable as the first film, but hey, there is some things about the film that I do feel like redeem itself, even if the writing just... I don't know. I don't know what was going on with the writing. Like, was it trying to have some elements of comedy? Because it didn't really work for me. But nonetheless, it didn't really ruin my overall experience, except for these two guys yapping in front of me. God, I hate when I get those types of experiences. If you saw my review for The Conjuring Last Rites, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and maybe subscribe for more. You can also follow me on Twitter, Instagram, or maybe Blue Sky. Links in the description. And I'll see you guys later. Word out.